Hey guys, KRX here with another review. This time I'll be reviewing the FMCS 07 Kamen Rider Fourze Cosmic State from Kamen Rider Fourze. This is the Fourze Module Train Series version of Fourze's Cosmic State, which is his final form or final state. So, this set includes what you see here, which is slightly the standard, but not quite. It includes one FMCS figure, the Cosmic State figure, plus 4 modules, but technically 5 accessories. It includes the Barizen Sword in both boost mode and slash mode, the Giant Foot module, the Board module, and the Gyro module. So, let's get started by taking a look at the figure first. So, here it is, Fourze Cosmic State. So the main plastic of this is a light blue, but it is a light blue that has little speckles on it in a similar fashion to the plastic used for the blue on Foodroid number 05 Softonia. However, it is a different shade, so it's not the same plastic. Also got a lot of silvers, whites, and blacks. So detail-wise, starting from the head, we have a new head design, as usual. Though it is somewhat similar to the base state head design, in that it does closely resemble a rocket with fins and a cone head. We have a spike at the top. The wings on the side have these gunmetal gray tips, and the face itself is quite different. It now has red eyes, golden markings, and a larger orange forehead gem. Another thing is that the entire face is actually behind some a kind of clear plastic shield, and that seems to be a kind of a way to get around the way that Fourze Cosmic State's face is actually a little bit raised. However, instead of raising the face, they just put it behind a raised section. Because as you can see, there is a little bit of difference in the coloring there, because you can see that this part is basically attached onto the head and painted in this light blue instead of being just the plastic color. Though interestingly, the spike on the top of the head still does not explain this knot on top of the head that all of the FMCS Fourze figures have. Getting to the body, we have the main part here, which is the most prominent section, which is the switching lung. Now, as strange as that might sound, for most riders, the chest plate is designated as the lung. But anyway, the switching lung has these 4 sections, each containing the symbols for 1/4 of the actual switches, and they are divided by limb. You got circle, cross, triangle, and square. They're all stickered on, but the stickers look nice, and you can actually make out the individual designs and numbers on them. You also got the collar area, which is completely painted silver. Although, interestingly, the switching lung does not extend all the way to the back. It basically harnesses around the shoulders like so. Speaking of the shoulders, they have these wing fins on the front that are on rotation joints, which, well, basically that'll be explained with the articulation. Moving down, we have the arms and the legs, which have now had their module basements turned into module deckers. And as you can see, their individual colors have been replaced by blue and silver, and the reason for the name is not because of the color change, but because of Fourze Cosmic State's power, which allows him to stack module powers, basically meaning that he can equip a module to one of his limbs, then add a secondary power from a different module of that limb. For example, one of the first combinations used was stacking the power of Freeze onto the launcher module, which gives him Freeze missiles. Also noticing the belt, we've got the Cosmic Switch folded in there, with silver and a little bit of yellow on the top. It's also got different suit linings and different lines along the sides. They're a little bit wider, but thin out when it comes down to this section. Not too much different about the back, but it does have a different different booster design. Instead of the one that's more like an exhaust, as you can see here on the top. They're more like actual boosters. So that's it for the detail. Getting to the articulation, it is still the same as is normal. Although actually it's more similar to magnet states. So you've still got the 360 rotation of the head, you can still move it up and down. Arms move inward and outward, which is where that rotation joint on the shoulder panels comes in, and can be rotated 360 degrees. And like I said, like magnet states articulation, it has a double joint, as can be seen there. And once again, that is for posing purposes. But it does show that, mostly with these gimmick lines, they just choose not to give them double joints. Still has the waist articulation, forward and backwards movement, in and out, knee bend, thigh swivel, ball joint, ankle tilt. Though what is noticeable is that this one can more take advantage of the double joints because it's not limited in any way and can rotate the shoulders 360 because of no hindrances like shoulder attachments that don't move with the shoulders. So now we can take a look at the accessories. So first is the Bison Sword in boost mode, which is the closed mode. As this is a standard FMCS release, it is basically not quite too detailed. Really, you've just got the blue for most of it, along with some white, and the gold for the inner blade. The other thing is that it's made of a flexible plastic rather than a stiff plastic, which is the reason why it is the set includes a second one for slash mode, as with this kind of just one mold piece kind of plastic, basically they can't engineer the transformation gimmick from boost mode to slash mode. If you want to do that, you can just get the deluxe toy. Slash mode is where more detail comes out, as can be seen on the molded detail both on the blade and on the inner panelings. And they do well pull it off with the use of gold and red for the inner blade, as well as correctly putting the handle in a downward position as compared to the upper position of boost mode. And you correctly make slash mode longer. So next is the giant foot module, which is a giant foot, or at least a very large foot. It's, well, like is kind of typical for the FMCS releases. It is molded in the plastic of one of the modules and then painted in its individual color. In this case, it's orange plastic for the other modules, and here it's painted in maroon. So we've got the cross design right there. And then, as far as the bodies and swords circle design, it doesn't quite have an exact circle, but more that boost mode has a kind of a cylindrical circle shape. And when fully detailed, it does have some rings around it, or at least a ring around it. Still, there are lots of panel linings and treads to resemble the bottom of a shoe on the bottom of the giant foot. And it does have a tilt in the ankle, like so. Next is the board module, which is one of the largest modules to be released, at least lengthwise, in which it's nearly as tall as the figure itself. There is a texture to the board itself, as well as molded-in details on the harness that attaches to the leg. You got triangle design on both ends and both sides, as well as on the section that attaches to Fourze's leg. And this section does both rotate and pivot to help with posing. Last but not least, we have the gyro module, which is once again molded in orange plastic but painted in this mint green. As can be seen, it does spin nicely and freely. And once again, lots of molded in detail. A square design, both here on the section that attaches to his arm, and on the front of the propeller. And here we've got two different kind of plastics used. We've got a solid plastic for the section that attaches to the arm, and a flexible, bendable plastic for the rotors of the blade, or the propeller's rotors, or propeller blades. So it can be held, so the bodies and sword can be held either in his right hand for use of posing purposes, as it is the module for his right hand, like so. Or it can be held in the left hand for a different kind of posing purpose. Specifically, a purpose that essentially makes use of the double joint, which is to have him in a pose in which he is changing modes of the bodies and sword. Though doing so is a little bit tricky, but I'll see what I can do. You just gotta give me a little bit of time. This is just a tricky thing to do because of the way the figure is. With something like that, you can have a mode-changing pose, which is the essential reason for the double joints. Or at least what can presumed to be the reason for the double joint. So now we can equip the other modules, and I guess just for simplicity's sake, I'll have them be holding the bodies and sword in slash mode. Wrong way. You gotta remember that the proper way to pose it is with the handle inward. I also have to make sure he doesn't fall over. So to equip the giant foot module, first you're going to want to take this flap and open it up. Then fold the leg down, or fold the foot down, slide it on, like so. Then fold the foot inward and close up the panel. And now you have the giant foot module equipped. And yes, the swivel still works while it's in there, so you can have them in, so it does help with the posing possibilities. And taking off is just as simple. So, next. The board module is in a similar fashion to the hopping module and wheel module, in that you are sliding it into the footrest and onto the leg. Just like so. So from there, you can once again use the built-in joints both on the module and in the figure to assist with posing. And so you can have him in poses where he is in a boarding stance, like so. And then, just getting this guy stood back up again. So for the gyro module, it's the simplest of them to put on, as it is in a similar fashion, just as it does have a similar fashion to the radar and camera modules, as you just slide it on. And from there, you can just stick it upward into the sky and spin around, and then you can play as if you're flying. And it can also be posed in a way as if it were some kind of a shield. Although he already has the shield module. And of course, take off, just pull off the arm. So, now just collect everything back up. Although, I guess one last thing to note is that for the module decker on his right arm, it does have the railing as the normal module basement would have. So this figure, despite supposed to be always holding at least one mode of the partisan sword, can use other rocket modules. So that is a nice feature, meaning, like base state, this figure can use any of the modules. So just setting everything back up. And I guess getting him in a pose of some sort. Something like, say, that. Well, of course, I have to make sure he's standing. Another thing is that you can have this fold down like so. I guess you don't want it sticking up all the time. So, there we go. the final FMCS figure, or at least what should be the final FMCS figure, because it is, at least there seems to be rumors that Fourze may be getting a movie exclusive state, but whether or not that will be getting a figure is up in the air. So once again, a really great figure. It captures all the details right, has great articulation, and it's really great that they managed to get down all of the switch designs for the switching lung. Though I guess, yeah, the one thing I have a problem with is just how they chose to do the face. And it's something that's not going to be present on the SHF version, or the SH Figure Arts version, for those who don't know about that. So, that might give some people reason to buy the SHF version instead. However, this is still a great figure, and it still goes great with the Fourze module chain series. Gives you more modules. It is really good that they include both the Bison Sword in boost and slash mode. And it is nice that, like with Magnet State, you get double jointed elbows. And with this figure, you can better make use of them. So that's another plus. So with that, I am just about done with the Fourze toy line. There are a couple more things to get, but another thing is that this is, like I said, this is probably the last release in the Fourze module chain series. So now that I'm about done with these, you might be wondering if I'm going to be getting the Figure Arts Fourze figures. Well, that's a probably, but there are some stipulations. I am going to be getting all of the modules for the Fourze module chain series. In what way, I'm not going to say. I'm going to keep that a surprise. But if I do collect the Figure Arts Fourze figures, I'm not likely to be buying all the modules because, frankly, one of my main gripes with the SHF Fourze figures is their terrible way of selling the modules, in that the figures really never come with as many as you get out of an FMCS figure. And most of them are released in packs, and I don't really like the idea of having to buy stuff just to get extra accessories. I mean, I just feel that the FMCS line does that just much better. And so I'm going to be getting all of the modules for the Fourze module chain series, especially because they actually have gimmicks to them. And for the most part, the modules for the SHF figures are mostly stacked pieces and don't really have the gimmicks like these ones do. Another thing to note is that my next prospect, and well, the thing is that I'm not going to be getting these just now. I'll be getting them in the future, but my current future prospects are toys from Tokume Sentai Go Busters. That's right, I'm going to be collecting both the toys for this year's Kamen Rider series and Super Sentai series. So look forward to Go Busters reviews starting next month. And I'm not exactly going to say how I'm going to be getting them. You'll just have to wait and see. But getting back to this figure, like I said, great figure, excellent to finish off the Fourze module chain series, at least as far as the figures, because it does go along with them, is in scale, has good jointage, has good accessories, and is just about everything you'd expect from a figure of this line. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and check out my channel for more videos. And for now, this is KRX50, writing off.